Viele hatten es sich gewünscht, nun hier ist es, das Interview mit Sami. Vor dem Gig in Essen hatten wir die Gelegenheit, ihn zu sprechen über seinen Werdegang, seine Entwicklung, aber auch, wie sich seine Rolle innerhalb von Kreator über die Jahre verändert hat. Wenn du möchtest, dass wir auch in Zukunft solche und auch andere Inhalte produzieren, würde es mich sehr, sehr freuen, wenn ihr uns unterstützt durch ein Abo. Dafür müsst ihr ganz einfach nur dieses Video pausieren, unten auf den Abo-Button klicken, die Glocke aktivieren. Das Ganze selbstverständlich zu 100% kostenlos und hilft uns, unsere Arbeit voranzutreiben. Ich wünsche dir jetzt nun ganz viel Spaß mit dem Interview mit der Kreator-Gitarrenlegende Sami.
Moshpitpassion, for the passion of the music.
Ja, herzlich willkommen hier bei Moshpitpassion auf YouTube zu einer neuen Folge. Neben mir der liebe Sami von Kreator. Schön, dich hier zu haben. Wie ich bitte nicht wundern, wir ändern jetzt die Sprache ins Englische, was Sami darum gebeten hat, das Ganze auf englische Sprache zu absolvieren, weil natürlich das jetzt nicht seine Muttersprache ist, Deutsch und er Englisch besser kann, aber für euch überhaupt kein Thema, nämlich wir haben für euch hier Captions gemacht und zwar könnt ihr das Ganze alles hier nachlesen. So, Sami, thank you very much for having us here at Essen today, hometown city of Kreator. My first question would be, because unfortunately our time is limited and usually we are talking about the whole career, about our guest, and I would like to start when it comes to the creator part. But first, please, can you introduce us yourself, but not like regularly when you say, hey, I was grown up here and there. Every musician is presenting himself with a record, which was very, very influential. Which was your record where you say, it's so great, it influenced me and it gave me something?
A record from somebody else that,
Yes.
that has made a difference in your life. Wow. Well, then, somebody like me would go back to the early years, like being a teenager and so on, when the music started, like making a difference, or when he started playing your instrument. I guess those would be like metal things, like of course, Iron Maiden, like Power Slave, or that time when I was like 15 or 16, what came out back then? Master of Puppets and stuff like that, just like great music. Like, I'm an 80s kid, so therefore it's music from that era that made a difference for me.
It's very interesting because there are some melodic records which you mention, and which is also interesting when it comes to the part when you became a member of Kreator, because what Kreator did before Violent Revolution was very experimental, you can say. And for a lot of people, that record, Violent Revolution, is also like a fresh comeback, and you bring also some melodies, some heaviness into Kreator. But from your perspective, when you got the offer for Kreator to joining them, what was the status of Kreator back in the day? Do you remember that?
Yeah, they had just put out an album called Enderama, but I was also filling in, like, during that album when Outcast was out. There was a similar tour going on back then, believe it or not. Exodus was also playing, but back then Paul Baloff was alive. We're talking about really a long time ago. And I remember he thought that he was in America, even though he was in Europe, because he was looking forward to go to Amsterdam, and we were already there. But anyway, that was kind of sad in a way. But it's like similar kind of tours, and then but afterwards it's been like growing, like constantly growing. But I guess if you think of Kreator's entire career, like the band has been around for so long, it's always like a little ups and downs and ups and downs, and but right now we're in a great place.
Definitely. And do you remember back then, or was there some kind of clear expectations or guidelines about what your musical role in the band should be back then?
Well, I guess, I really went straight to the studio And Mille had already written most of the songs. He's the main songwriter anyway. He writes all the lyrics, which are kind of important with Kreator, or not kind of important, but very important. And so for that album, I went more or less to decorate what had already been done, you know. And then later on, like for Enemy of God, then we started having like band practices together here in Essen at the Zeche Karl. And then it became more and more like, more like a unit, I suppose. But with Violent Revolution, I basically just flew into the studio and oh, that's what you recorded. Well, how about adding this there over there or something like that, or whatever ideas producer had or something like that. But it's a long time ago. I can't remember that well.
Maybe we come to the part when Frederick joined the band, because usually he's more like a guitar player. Obviously, he's playing bass. But now you can say you got 3 guitar players in one band, and he's also involved into like creating demos of the band, also songwriting. And how did your role, let me say, develop from the day when he came in? And also, do you remember how it was when you created Phantom Antichrist and Gods of Violence, and how the shift was when Frederick came to the band?
Oh, well, it's only been, like, in a creative sense, the best possible, because, like you said, he's a guitarist, and very, very good at that one, actually. You will hear him play tonight. I'll give you a little surprise. And
Which song?
Loyal to the Grave. and he had like tons of ideas for melodies and solos when we were in Sweden recording like this newest album, Krushers of the World. We did it like last June. And I'll give you an example. Like there's a song called Tränenpalast. There's a guitar melody after the solo. That's composed by Fred. And then I asked him actually, well, do you want to play it? And he's like, no, you play it. But he like composed it.
So is he also pushing you in different ways, or maybe like thinking about different layers when it comes to arranging music?
Yes, which is great. You know, like the more ideas that are flying around, the better. You know, like our producer Jens Bogren, who did the third time we were working with him, he's also got like tons of ideas for everything, and that's like the best kind of a studio environment one might want to wish for. Yeah.
So in general, you are now around 25 years a part of the band, and what would you say, which record is strongly reflecting your personal style and why?
Yes, well, maybe Gods of Violence and the new one, maybe. It's like I can't like give any particular reasons why, but I don't know. It's just like, and they all do, and you know how it is. You're always most excited about always the newest work and what is current and what is fresh and what is happening right now. So now to be on this tour for me is the best because we can play new songs. You know.
I saw something interesting, and when I started playing guitar 20 years ago, I'm watching all kind of videos, and thankfully through YouTube, there's a different layer of watching my favorite guitar players, and they're giving interviews about technique stuff. And I saw something from James Hetfield, and he was like, when he's playing guitar, usually some guitar players playing with 2 fingers and the guitar plectrum, but he's using 3, and explained it very well that you got more power in it. And I saw obviously your style of playing, which is a little bit similar, that you are holding your guitar pleck also with 3 fingers and playing the instrument, right?
I think that is true. I play a little bit bigger pick, and it's just something that I got used to. I can't, if it has something to do with Hetfield, I don't know.
I mean, the style, his, let me say, why he's choosing three fingers instead of two fingers. He got more power into it. And I know if it's for you the same, and how did you develop playing with three and not with two fingers?
Yeah. That I think that is, when I think of it, that is true, but it's quite unconscious.
Are there any specific exercises or routines that you still practice regularly today?
Well, yeah, sometimes there are. Right now, we try to almost at every show to build up a little rehearsal room here with electric drums, and we just put the in-ears there through a Kemper and just like warm up something fast, like one of the fastest songs, like for example, Seven Serpents. It's like a balalaika thing going on there, so it's a good warm-up thing. And yeah, it makes sense. I notice the difference if I don't warm up, I just go cold on stage. It's not good. The older you get, the worse it gets.
Let's come back a little bit to the, let me say, arrangement and songwriting process. When you're starting to write a solo, for instance, is it more like spontaneous or carefully structured, or is it depending on the song, on your mood, or even if you're trained or cold starting playing guitar?
You mean in the studio?
In the studio, yes.
Some are planned already ahead, like really composed. And then what our producer Jens Bogren would like to do is that he would leave the solo part as a loop and just ask to play something, improvise. And then he would go and sit on the sofa. He would leave the console, and then if I noticed that he's really not happy in anything that's happening, then he would leave the room and go listen to next to the door.
Seriously?
And then I change around, like, what do I do now? And maybe have a break or something like that. And then he would come in and stop that one. This is what we have to use, and then start like building around that or something like that. But often it's also composed, so you really have an idea. Like you go in and just record what you thought before.
And what do you prefer? Which kind of working that you're like, hey, I want to be more or less on my own because you're a guitar player with such a huge career, played with so many bands? Or is it for you like, it's okay for you that somebody's like guiding you, like, hey, do this, do that?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think it's the best. But sometimes I love to leave room for improvisation, but not too much. But because sometimes something magical can happen. It doesn't always. Trust me, no. And it's good to plan stuff, and especially in metal music. You can compare it to classical music in many ways. You know, you build harmonies and do counter melodies and whatever. So therefore, there's not so much improvisation going on. But I do love to do it. Yeah.
And what inspires you still today when it comes to playing solos, arranging, going to the studio? Because after all these years, I guess it's pretty hard to reinvent yourself, your style of playing guitar.
Well, I think it would have to be the song itself, because if it's not good, then why bother, and so on. And of course, if it comes from a composed melody kind of standpoint, you can also start something from scratch yourself. It doesn't have to do anything with, but some kind of an idea and a feeling and a mood has to exist. Of course, it's not. I mean, music is feelings, no, in the end, yeah.
What is for you the greatest compliment to achieve or to hear?
I mean, I guess the biggest compliment would be just if people show up to the shows. I mean, why should they be interested in the first place? But this tour has started out great. A lot of people have showed up, and what more do you want? I mean, of course, it's like 4 bands, and I'm a member in a band, but it's just like it's happening, and it's real, and that's what more can you ask for? Yeah.
So there are a couple of questions left. And if you could give your younger self an advice when it comes to instance for joining Kreator or even another band, what would it be?
Ooh, I might not change anything. I don't know. Wow. Well, that's a really difficult question. You know, basic guidelines in my life usually has been at least never to try to regret anything. And I don't feel like there's anything that would be regretful about this. It's just music. It's just music. And music is life. Or else there.
So, Sonny, there's one question left because our magazine is called moshpitpassion. Do you got any kind of crazy moshpit experience to share or tell, which you, let me say from an artist perspective, when you played with Kreator in the old days, or something like from your own perspective as a child or youth? You can say that you went out and went to the mosh pit. Is there anything?
Are you asking if I ever crowd surfed?
For instance, stuff like that. You did?
Well, yeah, well, of course, like when I was 14 or 15.
Which band?
The band, the headliner was Stone, but then supporting them was a band called Brainwash. It was like the first wave of that kind of music in Finland back then. But I guess the funny part would be that I ended up joining the band that I was crowd surfing from.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so accidents happen. But Stone was cool. I remember that band. You ever heard? No. Robert Latvala, the Children of Bodom guitarist, the band that he played before.
Yeah, it's not my kind of music.
Yeah.
And but obviously, I mean, Children of Bodom, it's a legendary band. Unfortunately, there's not anymore around. But back in the day, I saw them a couple of times. Great band.
Yeah.
So, Sami, thank you very much for your time, for the interview. I wish you all the best for the rest of the tour. Also, all the best with your new record, and hope to see you one day again.
Let's do this.
Guys, thank you very much for watching. Please check out Kreator's new record. I put everything down in the description. See you very soon. Bye-bye.
Moshpit passion, for the passion of the music.